I'm going to keep it real and let you know what I think because that's what I do on this program. Is I like to go and share you my observations, opinions, and actual, in my view, factual view of the world and what we can do to move on, for the betterment of our society. And that's what I do. So, before I go and get started, let me just say, and I will say this at the end, to go ahead and subscribe on to this channel and hit the notification bell so you can keep up to date. Well, anyway, I just want to let you also know that our politicians from both parties like to distract us all from real problems. This is why Donald Trump fans, MAGAs, like to use issues like Dr. Seuss, and Democrats like to use Marjorie Taylor Greene. And they're both united in basically distracting us from real problems. The final end result is, of course, no $15 an hour minimum wage, no labor law reforms, which would expand union rights, no public option added to Obamacare, which I just wish that we could just scrap the idea of Obamacare altogether and go with full Medicare for all. But I'm just saying that if we can't do that, let's at least do a public option. No sign of them talking about a public option. No Green New Deal, no federal jobs guarantee programs, which is really frustrating because we actually have a law that allows federal jobs guarantees called is called the Humphrey Hopkins Act. The United States Full Employment Act of 1978 is actually the law of the land. But anyway, need I go on? Yes, no free college. Why? We spend too much time talking about the culture war. Culture war this, culture war that. It's the product of our two-party system at the end of the day. And frankly, it's very, very frustrating. I might be an old fuddy duddy. I'm 52 years old. For those who are significantly younger than myself, please forgive me for not being with it, not being too happening. Um, It's just how it is. I was born 1969, and I just barely know who some of these entertainers are. Hmm, from a different time period until this past week, and it's like April 3rd, 2021. I never heard of Little Nas X until this past week. Um, I just don't really keep up with modern music. I just don't, and what little modern music I hear, I just kind of like, okay, that's what y'all into, and just go on with my life. But apparently, I guess he's a country rap artist. I'm guessing. Um, well, anyway, uh, there was a song. I guess it was called "Satan Shoes." And I'm guessing there's a video, whatever. Apparently, red background with the shoes, with the little Nike logo on the side, with the little pentagram on it, the upside down star that's supposed to represent the sign of Satanism, something along those lines. Nike sued the people that orbited around this Satan shoes video song display over trademark concerns, all that. As much as I don't like Nike exploiting workers in other countries, you know, the low wage workers to go and sell an overly expensive piece of footwear. Um, I do understand about trademark concerns with regard to Nike, as far as their brand is concerned. Um, but the cancel culture that goes along with it. Um, I mean, it's like being offended is like the best form of advertisement. These people, the Christian right, the some of the prudish types that existed for many years. I can't believe this is still around and as a thing in the year 2021, but they're going around with clutching their pearls, acting offended, and wanting to do boycotts and all this sort of thing. This is kind of like the new version of Elvis Presley doing his shaking his leg on the Ed Sullivan show. What was it, 1956? And people are acting like, oh my, how offensive it was, the decline of Western civilization, as they saw it back in the 1950s of all time periods. My grandmother, who died 3 years ago later on this month at the age of 95, almost 96, told me when she was alive. And my grandmother was a fairly conservative, good woman, but she was a very, I don't mean politically, but kind of a very traditional Southern Methodist woman. Basically, thought in 1956 that it was no big deal about Elvis Presley shaking his leg and his upper pelvis in doing that dance he was doing in 1956, 57 on the Ed Sullivan show. Not that big a deal. Go a decade later when the Beatles came along and that what they consider long hair in 1964, very laughable. I mean, but back then they just thought, oh my gosh, look at those Beatles coming from England with that long hair. They they look like four women with business suits on. That's basically how silly it was at that time. And then, the Rolling Stones came on that year, and they were even more quote unquote outrageous because their hair was slightly longer than the Beatles, which people thought the Beatles' hair was just a little bit too long. I mean, it was just like, oh no, no, the long hair phase of 1964 and 1965, which just meant back then sideburns, maybe some bangs, hair over the ears just a little bit. Um, Actually, just it was like the emo hair of its time. But anyway, and then the Beatles John Lennon made his remark in 1966 about something that was actually factually true at the time, and it was not meant to be blasphemous. But John Lennon said that we're bigger than Jesus, and for its time period, and, as far as being a pop icon is concerned, yeah, I mean, America was becoming a little more secularized as a society, and so was Great Britain and much of the West. And when he said that they were bigger than the Beatles, it wasn't like that they were taking Jesus's place or what have you. But too many people acted like they were got offended, and a lot of people in the South started burning started making bonfires of Beatle records and wanting to boycott the Beatles and even in some places in the South, you had the Ku Klux Klan protesting the Beatles performing live on stage. It was that sort of silliness going on. Well, fast forwarded to the 1980s. In my lifetime, I was born in 1969. And I was remembering growing up, going to the middle school, junior high, in the sixth and seventh grade, the eighth grade. Basically, 1981 to the spring of 1984, and I remember school banned punk rock fashion, and lucky for me that I was going to school what I consider punk rock, and they were so silly that they didn't realize at the time because I was more in the new wave side. I was the one that was wearing the skinny necktie, that sort of thing. But because didn't have a mohawk and these little wrist those little wrists with the little pointy things on them, and sneering like Johnny Rotten or something. I mean, like Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols. They just had this really absurd worldview of what they thought punk rock was and everything. And honestly, it's not even all that ridiculous. That's part of my little subculture myself. I mean, I grew up as a punk rocker, new wave guy, and everything, and it was the edgy thing to be at the time. But the thing about it is that it's not that big a deal. I mean, and but they acted like that was the biggest scourge you can imagine. Enter 1989, 1990, the rap group down from Florida, Two Live Crew, with their album As Nasty as It Can Be, or something along those lines, and people trying to put a ban on it. Again, and then what was it, 91, 92, Cop Killer by Ice T. Trying to make too big a do out of all of this. Early 2004 at the Super Bowl halftime show, Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson, Dirty Dancing, and him ripping off her top, showing her, I believe, was her left breast or something on stage. It was obviously choreographed to be shocking or whatever. People acted like the sky was falling, and now you got Little Nas X with this Satan shoe business. And here's the thing about it. All these people who get offended by everything, they should realize that when you get offended by stuff like this, you're just going to make it more you're just going to make it more edgy, more attractive, more appealing to people who probably would otherwise not give a shit about it. So, congratulations if this is really going to make the culture decline. Social conservatives, you're pushing the cause and pushing the envelope for society to collapse. It's not going to collapse because of this, but that's what they think in their mind, and they're speeding up something that they don't want to happen. And it works the same for us, for the liberals who engages in cancel culture too, because when they do their little cancel culture thing, there some people have made the comment. I don't know who made the comment. Conservatism is the new punk rock or what have you. It really isn't. But when the PC mob and the SJWs do the same thing, same result. And then you got people who are on the right wing. You make them look more relevant in doing so. So I mean, it goes on both ways. But with the cancel culture of Dr. Seuss, I mean, and the gall of some of the right wing people talking about Dr. Seuss. Hey, I'm going to get this straightened out. Dr. Seuss Enterprise themselves made a decision, an executive decision among themselves, to go and to take down 6 out of 40 of the Dr. Seuss series of books that had a racially insensitive content, and to kind of update it with the times. This is their own decision. Black Lives Matter didn't go out there bullying them. Antifa didn't go out there bullying them. A bunch of little college anorexic little kids with the purple and pink hair didn't go around bullying them. That didn't happen. That's fiction when y'all claim it happens. It didn't happen. This is a decision by Dr. Seuss. Now, I don't even think a lot of people themselves out in the public were really too concerned about the book. But hey, you know, again, I don't care if the books were taken down by Dr. Seuss Enterprise to go and re-edit the content, and I don't care if it would have been left alone and not made an issue one way or the other. I got other things to concern my time. Same thing with Lil Nas X, Satan shoes. I got other things to do to concern my time other other than a silly pop song. So, as I said, and this cancel culture thing, I get so tired of people on the right, even people who are center, who act like, oh, it's only liberals and the progressives and the left that engages in cancel culture. I tell you over and over with the right wing in this country. A lot of it are evangelical Christians and secular neocons in the Republican Party, along with some corporate Democrats, whereby half of the states in this country have made criminalized the act of criticizing the state of Israel with their anti-BDS laws that could put you in prison for 20 years, or have you fine up to $1 million for hurting Israel's feelings out in the public. If that's not an example of cancel culture, I don't know what is. You know, or what about now? I don't give a shit about Ellen DeGeneres, her program, her as a comedian, one way or the other. I don't really keep up with her, but apparently, because of the popularity of her show, her little talk show in the afternoon, and she was doing mm, advertisement for J.C. Penney's, the right wing were boycotting J.C. Penney's because she's obviously a lesbian, and what kind of a message is that going to send to our young little girls out in the country? Not one thing one way or the other. Oh, I got my criticisms of Ellen DeGeneres hobnobbing around with a war criminal like George W. Bush, who killed over 1 million people as the president of this country, who brought us into the brink of the next Great Depression with the deregulation of Wall Street. And it wasn't just George W. Bush. Just go back to the 1990s with Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich when they got rid of the Glass-Steagall, which allowed the United States government to give the green light for Wall Street to do whatever they want to do, and to go and engage in this cowboy capitalism, which basically, again, brought us to the brink of the next Great Depression. Thankfully, it did not get there, but we were just about there. So this whole cancel culture thing and everything, I'm going to tell y'all the truth, and it's mostly the right wing that does this. Now, not everybody on the right, not all conservatives. I mean, not all of them are doing this, but at the same time, those on the left, when they do it, I tell them to stop it. But again, it's not all people on the left. It's not all progressives, not all liberals either. But I have also said over the years that I oppose the authoritarian left, I oppose the authoritarian right, but I also oppose the authoritarian center. And, that means that I oppose Michael Bloomberg and Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush and George W. Bush and people like you know uh, what's his name in California, Gavin Newsom, or or Andrew Cuomo up in New York State, or down in Florida, Ron DeSantis, or Greg Abbott in Texas. They're the authoritarian center, all of them. So I oppose it all. I oppose it all because I am a free thinker, and I'd rather sit there and solve problems than to sit there and engage in another council culture tirade and continue this culture war, which divides good people from all sides. And I don't mean all sides in the way Donald Trump said all sides at Charlottesville. That was a bad choice of word. But it basically, this culture war, basically allows bad actors on all sides. That's probably a better way to put it, to go and distract us all from the real problems that's facing this country. And income inequality, income inequality is what's causing the problems in this country. Not not little Satan shoes by Lil Nas X, not uh, editing Dr. Seuss book series, and you know, and not getting rid of a silly skunk on a Warner Brothers cartoon by the name of Pepe Le Pew. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you were like, I don't know about this guy, go ahead and comment anyway. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you that if you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. And again, once again, feel free to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell to be kept up to date with all my silly rantings. And until next time, I am American Social Democracy. Peace. Class struggle yesterday, class struggle today, class struggle tomorrow until we have full economic and social justice for all.